When you think about concerts and theaters, live performances, one of the first things that comes to mind are the crowds. They need someone to perform to. When the pandemic hit, all of this came to a standstill. Crowds weren't allowed, and they needed to find a new way to perform, to connect with their audiences. Here to talk more about that, we're joined by Jim Kent, the Managing Director of Tidemark Theatre in Campbell River. Jim, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Jasmine. Thanks for having me.
The past year and a bit have been unusual, to say the least. But what is a normal year at Tidemark Theatre like? What kind of support do you see from the Campbell River community?
Generally, in the quote marks normal times, we would see basically the population of Campbell River coming through the doors in terms of audience to come to events. Yeah.
Yeah, when the pandemic hit, what was your first reaction? What went through your mind?
Probably like everybody, OMG, pretty much. Again, the fact that audiences, we had literally sold out shows on stage as the pandemic audience numbers were reduced, I think, to 250 to start, and shortly thereafter to 50, and that immediately canceled 4 to 5 shows for us, that day. Gobsmacked, like everybody. What was really, and again, credit to the staff at the Tidemark, a day or two of that, and then quickly pivoted to just getting on with rescheduling, which has pretty much took up the next 2 to 3 months of operations.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, the short-term changes. But what did you do to deal with it, and how did you pivot for, that longer-range pandemic?
The beginning of the longer-range view actually came, I was sent an article from a family member on the history of pandemics. This would be in the middle of April, probably a month after, month into the pandemic. And I read it, and it really struck me that we are not looking at a short-term situation here. The history of pandemics being 2 to 5 years. So that really helped switching my mindset, and began talking to the board of directors. We're a nonprofit, so obviously there's a board of directors, and staff in looking for new ways to keep going. Very stark choices. It was either close the doors and we're all off work, or continue doing what we do, which is facilitating performing arts.
And so how did you decide to keep facilitating the performing arts and keep these performances going?
That came from, ironically, some experience I had 30 plus years ago working in community television and producing some television shows at a community level, obviously, way back then. I kind of looked around pretty quickly, and we could see, we had a lot of the inventory. What was missing was the delivery, and how we would deliver it to from a facility that can't have an in-person audience, and pretty much, obviously online, and so we started going down that road, and I had a pretty good idea of the nuts and bolts of what was required to effectively build a TV station, and so just started going down those trails.
So I'm really curious, an important part of live performances is that they're live. Was this still the case with these online streams?
At first, if everybody recalls, it was laptops on kitchen tables. I probably, as well as many, found that not very engaging. Again, that sort of early television experience I had was, the quality needed to be there. I felt the sound quality needed to be there to create that engagement, and so we pretty much stuck to that throughout the project. That on our, again, limited budget and available funds and funding that was out there, we really strove to keep the quality up and learn and deliver an engaging performance from a production standpoint. And then after that, it's up to the artist. And, some artists fared better than others at the end of the day. Yeah.
And what was the reaction from community?
Very supportive. Again, everybody was in that sort of pandemic headspace, but certainly all of our funding partners and our patrons were very supportive of the idea, and the community was supportive, and showed that support by engaging this new technology and facility that we had, in reaching out and working to engage the community during the I'll call it the hard shutdown of the pandemic. Yeah.
Now, as things are starting to open back up, we can start thinking about what that means for live performances. Has the pandemic made people more interested in the arts or less? And will we see audiences coming back?
My personal opinion is I think in terms of live performance, it's going to come back, but it is going to be a dial-up and not just a switch. Again, all venues, performing arts venues and clubs and wherever live performance is done, a lot of these programs and events that you go to take months to plan. And so we're just starting to see that planning ramp up now. So I sort of think the fall of 2021 is going to be the dial-up period. We should be back to, I think, what looks like normal operations definitely by January 2022.
Now, this idea of streaming performances that's come out of the pandemic, do you think we'll see it stick around, maybe a hybrid of in-person audiences and online streaming in the future?
I do. I actually do think that it is an added service. And facilities who invested not just in the equipment to do it, but the training and the experience, you will see hybrid performances happening. I don't know that it will be as much music based and artist music based. I think what I see is message-based events will greatly benefit by this added service that theaters can provide.
Yeah, I think people are excited to get back in venues and watch theater, go to concerts, that sort of thing. That's one of the things that I miss the most. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from here. Thanks, Jim. All the best.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jasmine.